In a world where fast fashion continues to expand, there's something truly magical about sewing your own clothes. Welcome to this exciting world of sewing, a place where creativity has no limits, and a place where we can tap into our inner child.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you don't know who I am, I'd like to introduce myself real quick. My name is Justin P. Etienne. I'm a New York based fashion designer and creative director. I learned how to sew without taking any sewing classes, and I'm here to tell you that you can do it too. This is where we turn our big ideas into reality, and this is where all the magic happens. This is also a place where we challenge our perspectives and also a safe space to express ourselves and tap into our inner child. My last video on the unexpected benefits of sewing my own clothes reached thousands of y'all. And today we're gonna take it a step further. But firstly, I would like to take the time out to express my gratitude and appreciation for all of y'all who commented, subscribed, liked the video, watched the video, and shared all of your experiences with me. Because when I wake up in the morning and before I go to sleep sometimes, there's a lot on my mind, but sitting down and reading these messages allows me to feel so present and thankful for the journey. And it's a beautiful thing for me because, like I said, fashion design is more than just about sewing clothes. It's a universal language, and it is so inspiring to hear so many people's story across the world, across so many different demographics, age groups, backgrounds, who have similar perspectives about navigating through this world. And I appreciate all of the heartfelt messages about my grandmother. I want to be transparent with you all for a moment. My grandmother actually passed away in 2015 while I was in my second year of college at the Fashion Institute of Technology. And honestly, that was the hardest time period of my whole entire life, y'all. I was taking 7 classes in school. I was balancing out an internship at a high fashion company where I wasn't doing well at first, maintaining friendships and just trying to figure out how to navigate life when you're feeling so down like that. And I was just asking myself, how can I continue to strive in an area when the person who introduced me to this is no longer here? You feel me? It was really hard for me. I shed a lot of tears. I had a lot of pain. And you know, as a man, like, it's not easy to articulate your emotions sometimes because we always got to keep going, especially in New York. Like, you just got to show up. Even if I was communicating certain things to professors, it's like I still got to show up and do the work. I still got to make sure that I'm passing my classes. I still got to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and my responsibility. So it wasn't easy at all. But I say all of that to say I had to take a break from fashion, and I told myself I didn't want to do it anymore because of how sad I felt. But after reflecting, I turned to journaling as a creative outlet for me to express my emotions, and I was able to unravel so much about how I was feeling and the thoughts that I was having. And I had a moment to reflect, and I realized that fashion design is the outlet that will allow me to express my emotions in the healthiest way possible. And I always told my grandmother that I would continue the tradition that she taught me no matter what. So what I did was I started my clothing brand in school, and I started just practicing how to sew. I was asking my professors questions, asking my peers questions, taking old garments apart, sewing them back together, buying pre-made patterns and trying to understand the patterns even though I wasn't really receptive to it at first. It was really frustrating. But I learned that the fact that I made it this far into fashion school was for a reason. And as I began healing through my craft in fashion design, in music, in creative writing, I was able to step into a whole new world, y'all. And I know my grandmother is so proud of me, and I appreciate all of the grandmothers and mothers in the comments, and even fathers or brothers, sisters who've been commenting in the comments about what it means to take on the craft of fashion and sewing. And it just reaffirms everything that we got going on right now. And I'm so happy that we have a safe space for us to be able to share these ideas and these stories with each other, because it's gonna make the journey a lot more fun and exciting. If y'all haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, because all of the subscriptions and all of the likes in the comments have been boosting the video and have been allowing other people to share their experiences as well. If you haven't already, check out the last video. And again, I appreciate y'all so much. If you ever thought about sewing but you feel overwhelmed, this video is definitely for you. But today we are going to figure out what kind of tools we need to get started on our sewing journey, what are some good sewing machines to start off with, how to thread the sewing machine, and learning how to sew straight line. The first question is, what is the sewing machine that I want to use to get started? Now, you could take 2 routes. I suggest that if you're just getting started with sewing, to start off with a basic home sewing machine. You could get the Juki industrial heavy duty machine, but it's a lot more expensive. It's way heavier. It's definitely more maintenance, and it could be a little intimidating at times when you're first starting out. My first sewing machine I ever got was a heavy duty Singer sewing machine, and I believe that was in 2013, 2014. I got it from Joann's for about $250. I definitely used some of my Christmas money that I had saved up, and my mom chipped in and also helped me with it too. I'm thankful that my mom actually allowed me to get that, and she believed in what I wanted, because I did not stop bothering her about it. As time went on, I was experimenting with different machines. This is actually a Viking home sewing machine. Personally, I love it. I've been able to build so many amazing garments on this machine. This is my girlfriend Belina's baby. And for those of y'all who don't know, my girlfriend is also a fashion designer. I also learned a lot from her.
When I started, obviously I didn't know how to do anything because I never designed before. I was never taught how to do anything. So I don't know, I just feel like if there's anybody in your life who's trying to make you feel less than when you're new at something, because obviously you're new at it and you're not good at it yet, just ignore them and just keep doing what you do, because it's true, as Justin said, if I would have gave up on myself, I wouldn't be where I am today. And now, as y'all just saw, I be zooming through this sewing machine. I could not even sew a straight line before. My sewing was terrible. But it's practice, and I'm glad I didn't stop because of someone else.
Listen, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I say that she's a better designer than me. She taught me a lot. She actually went to the Fashion Institute of Technology for fashion design, and her mind with creativity is out of this world. So definitely subscribe to her channel, because she's gonna be doing a lot more sewing videos as well too. But coming back to the machine, I switched over to the Viking because my Singer sewing machine broke. It was a lot of wear and tear on it because I moved, and when I was coming from school, and it was just a lot. The machine is really good, but I highly recommend a Viking machine. But I'd say the top three is Brother, Singer, or Viking for me.
Let's get into some of the sewing tools that you need. To start off, you need fabric scissors, paper scissors, two completely different things, by the way. You never want to mix them up, because cutting paper with fabric scissors can impact the sharpness of your scissors when cutting fabric. A rotary cutter is good, not necessarily a must-have, but it's a different alternative to scissors. You definitely need ballpoint pins, hand sewing needles, clear measuring ruler, a French curve, pattern paper. You're gonna definitely need these when you're getting into pattern making. Tape measure to take measurements on the body or the dress form, a home iron, bobbin and bobbin case holders, and quality thread. And most important of all, you are going to need a seam ripper. I just wanted to give y'all a brief intro of the tools that you need, but I also have all of the tools in my Amazon storefront, and I attached a link below.
All right, so this is the exciting part. We're gonna learn how to thread the sewing machine. Yeah, I used to lose my mind when I was in high school trying to figure out how to thread this thing. But it's very simple. It's nothing to overthink. It just takes some practice. All right, boom. So you're going to need thread.
Gutterman cotton thread is a pretty universal thread that I love, but it also depends on the type of fabric that you're using. So it's also good to do some research on different threads depending on the type of fabric you are going to be working with. So the Viking machine comes with a presser foot that you attach to the machine, and it's right next to the power button. The spool of thread goes on the top of the machine like this, and then there's a cap that prevents the spool from coming off of the machine. Pretty much every sewing machine has the same system when it comes to setting it up. You're gonna take the thread and wrap it around this arrow. You follow the tunnel, bring the thread around and up like a U shape, and then hook the thread onto the silver latch on the top. That is the part that is connected to the tension on the sewing machine. And once you bring the thread down, the final step is to thread the needle. I'm gonna be completely transparent with y'all. I do not use the automatic threader on the sewing machine. I think it's because I always watched my grandmother do it by hand, and by nature, I just felt like I had to as well. But feel free to look up a video on how to do it if you'd prefer that way. Alright, so I'm gonna teach y'all how to thread a bobbin real quick. If your bobbin has 2 holes on it, you're gonna put the thread from the bottom side of the top hole, and then you place it on a rod. Make sure that the bobbin is pushed to the side, and the Viking may be different, but you have to pull out the hand wheel in order for the bobbin to spin.
So this part is very crucial, right? When we put the bobbin case in, you want to make sure that your bobbin is spinning clockwise, because if you have it spinning counterclockwise, that is what is going to cause you to have a whole bunch of bunching with the thread, and it's going to get messed up. So you don't want it to go that way. So then you want to make sure it catches. There's like a little latch right here. So you hook it right before the silver, and it's gonna pull that way. You put the thread towards the back of the machine. You take this piece and you just slip it right there.
For those of y'all who don't know, the lines that you see on the sewing machine is used to measure the seam allowance when you're sewing a garment. Seam allowance allows multiple pieces of fabric to fit together like a puzzle. So this knob is for the stitch length. Normally my stitch length would be 2.5 or 3. And this knob is for the stitch width when doing zigzag stitches. Yo, here's what it will look like if you're having a bad night of sewing. I've had many nights of these, but it's worth it in the end. I want y'all to remember something important when you're on your fashion design journey. It is amazing to watch tutorials. It's amazing to do a lot of research, but the most amount of value you are going to get is practicing, having fun, and being okay with repetition over a long period of time. I'm literally about 10 years into the sewing journey, and I still find myself making mistakes, getting frustrated, feeling anxious sometimes too. But another good piece of advice is to know when to take a break. I'm sure a lot of you are determined, you have big aspirations for yourself, and you have big ideas. But I remember that I used to spend hours sewing in the lab for a long period of time, like 6-7 hours, and burning out, making a mistake, and then feeling so frustrated. Once I'm sewing and I start making a few mistakes back to back and I start feeling like I'm gonna get frustrated, I just turn the machine off, I take a break, I'll go for a walk, I'll watch something, I'll talk to a friend, just so I could take my mind off of it, and then I'll come back. There's no point of forcing yourself to get something right or perfect on the first try or the first few tries. Sewing does not work like that. I just want to reiterate again that making mistakes is your friend.
I remember back in 2018, 2019 when I was really crafting garments from scratch, right? And every time I would leave the lab and I saw that the garment was only like 10 or 15% done, it's like I was having impostor syndrome or something. I'm like, yo, is this right? Am I doing this okay? I just felt like my chest was getting tight. I don't know, bro. When I think back on it, like I had the picture of what I wanted to create, but the physical in front of me looked like trash. And I don't know if y'all could relate. Let me know in the comments if you could relate to that, but it made me feel like I just wanted to give up. But the exact moment that you feel that, you have to lean into the feeling and continue to keep building off of what you're not sure of. Imagine you get to the pocket, let's say, or the side seam for your pants, and it gets overwhelming every single time. Don't stop yourself from going in and applying that pocket onto the side seam or sewing the side seam. Sew the side seam. If it gets messed up, that is why this is your best friend, a seam ripper. Improving your sewing skills is very contingent on how you talk to yourself, how you're perceiving what you're doing, and literally taking small mental notes of the things that you're coming across as you go on. Alright, y'all, so right now we are starting off the foundation of sewing straight lines. And honestly, it is simple, but mastering this is going to set you up for bigger projects that you want to do in the future. Firstly, you're going to need 2 pieces of scrap fabric. Here I have cotton canvas. That is one of my favorite fabrics that I use when I'm designing clothes. And let me know in the comments if you want to see a garment district vlog on how I go about choosing my fabrics and then bringing a garment to life. Because we all know that going to the fabric store could be a little intimidating sometimes, I'm not gonna lie.
I would say that you can make the length of the fabric pieces however long you want. I say the longer the better, so you can get an idea of how your straight lines are turning out when you're sewing on them. I use the length of the ruler, pretty much, so I think that's a pretty good length.
It could be a square, rectangle, whatever you want.
The next thing that you're going to want to use is fabric chalk. If you don't have that, you can use a pencil, a pen, but make sure you're not using ink or anything like that on your real garments. This is just for practice. So I use my clear ruler to draw the lines with the chalk. And honestly, the more lines that you draw, the better, because it's only going to be more practice for you while you're on the sewing machine. Alright, boom. So you lift up the presser foot. So you want to match your needle up directly above the beginning of the line. I normally put my needle down in the fabric for my starting point. And when you start sewing, I use my left hand to hold the fabric and then my right hand to guide the fabric forward. Let the fabric glide through your hand, and don't forget to back tack. This button is to make sure that your stitch stays in place and it doesn't come undone when you're wearing the garment. And when you're about 2 inches away from the end of the stitch, you are going to back tack again.
So far so good. It's okay if your lines are not perfect. Remember, it's not about perfection on the first try. It is just about getting used to the repetition and feeling comfortable on and around the sewing machine. And next, I want to show you real quick how to pivot on the sewing machine. This means that you got to a point where you want to turn the fabric and go in a different direction.
Alright, boom. So when it comes to pivoting, you want to make sure that the needle is all the way down into the fabric. And then you're going to lift up the presser foot. All you literally do is turn the fabric into the direction that you want to go in while the needle is in place. And if you want to start sewing in that new direction, you place the presser foot down and begin to sew. And you literally do that all over again every time you want to pivot. And lastly, you just cut off the thread that's hanging off of the fabric. Remember, sewing is a great way to express ourselves, so we have to learn how to celebrate the small wins. Whenever I accomplish something or I achieve a milestone that I set for myself with fashion design or anything, I usually treat myself to some ice cream, go hang out with some friends, watch a new TV series, or explore a new place that I've never been before. The point is, you want to get into the habit of conditioning yourself and your subconscious mind that you are growing. With just a few tools and creativity, you can make something really cool and express yourself. Yeah, I am so excited to share more with y'all. This is my journal right here, and I have so many ideas on what I want to show y'all, the process behind a whole bunch of things, story times, sewing tutorials, all that. But I just want to remind y'all, when it comes to sewing and fashion design, the possibilities are endless, and I'm here to help you along the way. Yeah, I remember the first time I finished a pair of pants. It was made out of neoprene fabric, and I was sewing them in my girlfriend's dorm on her sewing machine. And I remember how frustrated I got, and I finally finished them, right? I literally just felt compelled to just practice. Like, I just wanted to practice my sewing skills. I just wanted to bring a sample to life, right? I didn't have any expectations. Posted it on the gram. Yo, mad people was commenting on my post. I was like, wait, hold on. Like, I didn't expect people to go crazy about it. Mad people was like, yo, I want to buy it. Where can I buy it? Where can I buy it? Where can I buy it? Yeah, I had so much pressure on me because I was like, how can I just jump from sewing this? I just figured this out. I don't even know how I did it to that extent. And I'm pressuring myself to sell a garment. You know what I'm saying? Like, put it on a website, all of this. And I already had history and experience with selling clothes online, but I was doing a lot more DIY upcycling clothes. And I started going in. I started like figuring out how I could like sell my clothes and start my clothing brand. But I say all that to say, it wasn't about just the exterior of the sales. Like, I started getting a lot of sales as time went on. I'm so fortunate enough to be able to like expand my fashion brand, you feel me? But I realized that if I did not feel passionate about that specific project, and I'm not saying that I wasn't passionate about those green pants, but I learned over time that I cannot take on sewing projects for anybody. I can't sew a garment and try to sell it if I'm not passionate about it. And I should not force myself to monetize every single piece of clothing that I sew. There are so many garments that I've designed that I never put up for sale. And people ask me, can I buy it? Can I get a custom? I don't mind doing customs if I want to. But essentially, a lot of the projects that I create is because I just want to feel present with myself. I want to meditate. I want to feel connected to my higher self. And I highly recommend that you should have some projects that you just create for yourself. And then you can have projects and designs that you can sell and monetize as well too. But I think it's important to have a fine line and create a balance between that, because you don't want to burn yourself out trying to go after the money all the time. Like Miss Murphy said in my last episode,
you can't be driven by money or intrinsic things. You have to be driven by your heart and your desire and your imagination and your creativity.
If you're not passionate about something, then you should not be doing it. If this video resonated with you in any way, if you gained any new insight, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment. I want to hear more of y'all stories, y'all, because I'm telling you, all of the stories and experiences that I've been hearing throughout the week has honestly been giving me the push that I need to continue. And I'm so thankful again for everybody who's been giving me your insights and showing so much love, y'all. I'm filled with so much gratitude. I cannot express it enough. But if you feel like this content will resonate with anybody else too, feel free to share. And stay tuned for the next episode, because it's gonna get active. It's gonna get lit, man. And again, let me know if y'all wanna see a Garment District vlog. Let me know what kind of content y'all wanna see more of, because 2025 is the best time to start sewing. Appreciate y'all. Remember to tap into your inner child this week and do something for yourself, because you matter. Love y'all, appreciate y'all, and I hope you have a great upcoming week.
I started making clothes, but it found me. Didn't hear my name before, now they ask about me. Yeah.